Today I'm going to tell you about my new gaming graphics card which I got from my new old Mac Pro. In addition to its gaming abilities, it's also a mountain graphics card, because it can climb mountains. It's mighty GeForce 7300 GT, a graphics card that has been spoiling its lucky owner with high performance and slideshow presentations for 16 years already. As usual, someone would ask, why did you buy such a powerful graphics card? Is it decided to tease us? Of course, but first of all I didn't buy it, it was given to me together with the Mac Pro. By the way, I'm a little bit overpriced it, you can find it for $5 in working condition. The main purpose of my today's video will show you how our grandfather suffered in 2006. 2006 is the year of this gaming bottle. I got it in reference design because only those were used in the Mac Pro at that time, and in today's Macs too. What else can I say about gaming graphics card that weighs 270 grams? As you could notice, there is no fan, and that is the right decision because the graphics card consumes only 25 watts. At first I thought that such a low consumption is due to high efficiency factor caused by cleverly designed architecture of graphics chip, but then I remembered that it was 2006 and the chip's 90nm process. In addition to that, it has 256 MB of DDR2 memory. I originally wanted to test it on my Mac Pro with the same venerable second generation of ROM. I wanted to use the most balanced setup where both RAM DDR2 and video card memory DDR2 and CPU cache exists only L2, and there are two CPUs there too. By the way, each of them has 2 cores, but I was too lazy to reinstall Windows on this Mac the second time. I had to reinstall Windows anyway because in theory the drivers for it are available only for Windows 8.1. I didn't take the risk and installed Windows 7. But as they say, who doesn't take the risk doesn't drink champagne. But I don't drink anything weaker than 70 degrees, so it doesn't concern me. You probably thought that the bottleneck of this graphics card is its age and the generation of the graphics memory, but no. The real bottleneck of this graphics card is support for DirectX 9 and OpenCL 2.1. By the way, I upgraded my Mac Pro from 1.1 to 2.1, but this is a pure magic numbers from Apple, nothing more. Now, of course, I tried to install drivers to this video card through the Windows 10. On the advice of professors from forums, I tried to run the driver installer with compatibility to Windows 7, but it didn't lead to the proper result. I decided to install Windows 7, and god, it's been a long time since I've used Windows 7. And now, as usual, which is almost a tradition on my channel, I demonstrate you how this bottle copes with video playback on YouTube. And to make it as honest as possible, knowing that my crafty 18-core CPU will help the GPU, I decided to limit its power with Windows 7 software powers of 2 physical cores. with Windows 7 software powers of 2 physical cores with 4 threads, with frequency of 2.5 GHz. Thus on output we get some underdeveloped Core i5 with hyperthrow feed, L3 cache in 45 MB, and to my surprise, this graphics card is quite capable of handling Quad HD resolution videos on YouTube. 4K certainly not, but I haven't stopped here. It turned out that cheeky CPU still helps the video card not to fail this test. I turned hyperthreading off, thus creating a charged Core 2 Duo with additional L3 cache of 45 MB, but the GPU don't want to give up, and I haven't noticed any logs while watching the video. That means that the test is completed. The first thing that made me doubt about the performance of this GPU is the lack of active cooling, and I decided to check how the lack of a fan affects the video card's temperature. To do that, I run the firmware. I have 1 to 3 frames per second, and the maximum temperature here is only 72 degrees, and that's after 20 minutes of frying. No artifacts were noticed, and I think I figured out why in 16 years this GPU is still alive and didn't die. Temperatures were low. Also, I am sure that the thermal paste dried out 13 years ago, but since the temperatures are normal, I'm not going to change it. I will start with my favorite CS 1.6, and here, judging by the numbers of frames, it might seem that everything is very bad. But if you minimize the game on the desktop and redeploy, then the problem disappears. That's better 65 stable frames on ultra settings, but I went further, but not too far. In MSI Afterburner I can give 100 extra megahertz to the core and memory, and here at the bottom are stock values. As a result, we have 10 more FPS, which is good because my GPU supports only DirectX 9, I cannot install Riva Tuner, it will not work, so I need to download FPS Monitor. It's less convenient, but at least it works. These are the graphic settings in Stalker Call of Pripyat, all to a minimum except the resolution and rendering distance. The game feels like more than 50 frames, but when you start the monitoring, the FPS reduces, and I honestly don't really know why, but I suppose that it happens due to the low amount of memory on the GPU. I think when the monitoring starts its work, the card has to render the game and the desktop at the same time, and this is not noticeable on powerful graphics card but on so powerless felt instantly. Portal 2 and in this game at minimal settings with the lowest resolution possible, it's normal, fine. But as soon as you raise the resolution to 1680 to 1050 Ti, the game lags wildly. I especially recorded it in 60 frames to let you see it. Reducing the resolution to cinematic HD and FPS increased. Now the game is playable, but still not really comfortable. And by the way, that is how it would look like if I turned on the monitoring. Good old Need for Speed Most Wanted, and there is such a performance that probably even our grandfathers didn't suffer so much. 3 to 8 frames in this game, but there is also my fault because I didn't look at what I downloaded, and I downloaded the Need for Speed with mods and graphics, and I will not re-download it because I'm too lazy. CS Source, it's like Half-Life 2 but not Half-Life. Yes, I'm genius of thought, a father of schizophrenia. But nevertheless, with this resolution and on minimum graphics settings, I'm a threat to all the local bots, 20 frames in average. Disabled via Task Manager system process mixed up with CS. It just says CS in the beginning and I was with the one open eye confused them. Half-Life 2 turned out to be more demanding than CSS, although the game is on the same engine, but in Half-Life 2 maps are bigger, which affects the performance. Get away from here. In this location, FPS drops to 28 and on the street it shows 20. Fallout 3 and it was a great game and it still is. I will say for sure without monitoring it could show you much more frames. These are the lowest graphics settings. In general, our grandfathers could play this game and even pass it without any problems using this graphics card. This is the masterpiece. Why didn't I know about the existence of this game called You're Empty? It was released in 2006, that year from the Ukrainian developers, by the way, it's important. The main character can heal using alcohol. Even the monitoring can work normally and shows that the video card is loaded on 0% or percent. But of course this is not the case. If you're not afraid of old graphics, check this game. Painkiller, the very first one, again shows you how much the monitoring affects the performance. The dynamics of the game here are tied to the number of frames per second. Now I've turned off the monitoring and maximum graphics settings. The game is very smooth. This is like how Fallout feels without monitoring. It's so smooth that I can even raise the graphics settings slightly. Same with Half-Life, of course you can get only 60 frames looking at the floor. Someone may ask, why am I making video about such an old shit? Well, what monetization is the content. When I will get something from monetization, the content will become more interesting. Thanks for watching.